טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים,
שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום.
How good it
How
is,
good it
how
is,
sweet it
how
is,
sweet it is to be together on this day.
how good it
How
is,
good it
how
is,
sweet it
how
is.
sweet it is to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Page 126, ידידיה. 130. Lechun Adonai al Adonai. Come, let us sing joyously to God. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Page 130. Lechun Adonai al Adonai. Nariya letzu yishenu. Lechun Adonai al Adonai. Page 132, fourth line from the bottom. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. Page 132.
Zaru ala tzadik, zaru ala Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hear there's an issue with the sound. Hopefully we'll fix it and you'll be able to hear us. But I just need to say this. Whether you speak Hebrew or not, whether you're Jewish or not, whether you're musical or not, the language of the soul is music. Feel it. Feel it in your heart, feel it in your body. Don't be afraid to move or sing or sound. Who cares if you're off key or you don't know what you're saying?
I care.
Yeah, he
Just
does
saying.
care, so you don't have to stand next to him. But that being said, just feel it, because this is a time for us to just be, feel, experience, and be authentic. We come together this Shabbat, each bringing to this sanctuary a private world of hope, fears, and dreams. Some of us are burdened by anxieties and cares that all but crush our faith in the future. Others have hearts filled with happiness, grateful for the joys of the past week, yet aware that even the most fortunate are vulnerable before the mystery of tomorrow. Every life is a unique blending of joy and sorrow, of fulfillment and frustration. Beneath our uniqueness, we are all bound together by our common humanity. All of us most deeply yearn for the blessings of freedom and peace. Each of us seeks the personal liberation of a mind that is not enslaved to conventional wisdom, a heart that is able to love without fear, a spirit that cries yes to the universe. Each of us strives, too, for the inner peace that comes with finding a harmony between our aspirations and our abilities. This is the Shabbat peace to which we aspire. For those of you that have readings, I'd invite you to come up here. And for everyone else, we continue on page 138 for Lecha Dodi, which is the welcoming of the Shabbat spirit bride. Let it fill our space and our souls on page 138.
Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, come my beloved, to welcome Shabbat. To welcome Shabbat, come my beloved, we say to Shabbat. We turn and welcome her in. Sometimes we compare her to a bride, sometimes to a queen. Every time we compare her to a woman, and ourselves to a group of male lovers waiting for her to arrive. We don't get enough stories about women who are loved by women, about men who are loved by men. We don't get enough stories about lovers who are neither men or women. We don't get enough stories in which love does not fade, in which we see ourselves as the lovers and the Jews that we are. We have been given something in Ruth and Naomi, in David and Jonathan, and in Joseph. Something we hold and cherish, but that has also been clouded, questioned, and hidden. We honor that, we honor them, but we want more and we deserve more. Every Friday we bow, and in front of us is more. In front of us is love. Love however we feel it, love that fills our Shabbat, and our tradition that honors the lovers.
Page 138.
Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Eilei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Eilei Shabbat Nekabela Shamor
And so just as we welcome the Sabbath bride, so too we have an opportunity to welcome Shabbat. Before we do, we light this memorial candle, a recognition of all those. I'm going to invite you all to rise again. Consider this a little bit of gym aerobics, prayer aerobics before we begin. We're just having an opportunity to welcome Shabbat, but we light this memorial candle, a recognition of all those in the community who unfortunately are not able to join us this evening. And so, Hannah.
Creator of light, source of wisdom, you know the depth of the human soul. As you filled this world with the glance of your presence, so let me fill my world with the calm wisdom that love does not ask what, but instead asks whom. May we, as we watch the two flames of memory and practice enlighten this space, remember all parts of our stories and make space for all that we are. Creator of light, source of wisdom, may your light fill every inch of our bodies and may it exceed all forms.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotov v'tzivanu lahadlik shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
And so as you've welcomed Shabbat and we've welcomed Shabbat bride, turn to each other. If you have anyone nearby whose name you do not know, make them feel welcome and take this opportunity to make them feel at home.
page 142, it's customary to sing Shalom Aleichem. And when we sing that, it's welcoming the Shabbat angels to come to our Shabbat experience. We welcome them, we say, come here, we bless them, we say, bless us, and then they leave. An interesting thing about angels in Judaism, they have no gender. They have no sexuality. They have no color, and they have no religion. They're angelic. And they're tasked with one thing, and they know what it is that they're tasked with. The Rambam, Moses Maimonides, said that all of us kind of live in tension between animal, human, and angel. We aspire, sometimes we tap into our animalistic instincts, but we aspire for angelic instincts. Our angelic instincts is to see no color, no gender, no religion, no sexuality, right? It's just pure holiness. And so as we sing Shalom Aleichem on page 142, I invite us to remember every single time we engage with another human being, regardless of who or what or how they present, feel, or act, to be able to look for and see the angel within. Page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachim L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedken L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We rise on page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish and for the call to prayer.
יתקדש ויתקדש ברבה.
Amen.
והמן תפרח ירודה וימליך מלכותה. וחייכון וביומכון ובחייתך בית ישראל.
Bagala, Bagala, ובזמן קריב.
ואמרו
אמן. יהי שמי רבם מבורך, לעולם ולעד מעלמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהדר ויתהלל שמי לקודשה
בריחו.
ולעד מן כל ברכתה ושירתה
תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה.
ואמרו
אמן.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. We continue in the middle of page 149.
As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories or between place and place. We are crisscrossed, paths of memory and destination, streaks of light and swirl together. We are neither day nor night. We are both neither and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our wisdom. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up in this twilight. We cannot always define, we can always say a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hayotzeh et hadim umim. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight and with it Shabbat.
Page 150.
Ahavat olam.
Ahavat olam.
Yisrael. Amcha ahavta. Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot.
Torah u'mitzvot.
U'mishpatim. Otanu limadeta. Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shofteinu. Ufkumenu nasiach b'chukeicha. ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו, הם חיינו באורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, נהגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
אוהב עמו ישראל.
You have loved the people of Israel with a never-ending love. You have given us your Torah, laws, and statutes to guide us so that we may live lives full of holiness and happiness. We know that we must find ways to strengthen our faith and hope in you. Your Torah acts as our inspiration, a mirror into ourselves. Help us, Adonai, to find ways to renew our commitments as Jews. Teach us to feel proud of all of our identities. For you, Eternal One, made us as we are. We say, praise are you, source of all, who is the lover of the people of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Israel. Blessed are you, who loves your people Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם בבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך
ובשעריך.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בתיר תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
A reading about redemption.
Redemption prayer. God didn't lead us by the nearer way when Pharaoh let the people go at last, but round about by way of the wilderness. Pillars of fire and cloud marking night and day to the edge of the flood tide, uncrossable and vast. If God had led us by the nearer way, we cried, we wouldn't die here. Let Egypt oppress us as it will, let us return to the past. But we've come out by way of the wilderness, in fear, on faith, free now because we say we are free, no longer the unchosen or the outcast. God didn't lead us by the nearer way, but into rising waters which do not part unless with an outstretched arm we step forward and stand fast, round about by way of the wilderness. We have come here blessed with love, lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, queer, whatever, or sanctified in ways of our own, to bless our God who did not lead us by the nearer way, but round about by the way of the wilderness.
Our Song of Redemption, you will find it on page 158, 158. מי כמוך חיילים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא זילות אוסף אלף, נורא זילות אוסף אלף.
מען איכותך והיו בניך, בוקי היין למשה ומרים, צאני ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Yabba bing bing bam, yabba bam bing bam, yabba bing bing bam, yabba bam bing bam, ay 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 yabba bam bing bam, ay ay yabba bam bing bam. ונאמר כי ברא אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל. On page 160. השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לשלום, לשלום.
השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום.
והעבירנו מלכנו לחיים ולשלום, ולשלום. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. The Eternal One, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Ashkivenu, Ashkivenu, Eloheinu leshalom. Baruch ata Adonai, hapore sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed you, Eternal One. The shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Amen.
Page 162. Veshamru b'nei Israel et Shabbat. The Shabbat is our covenant for all times. Veshamru b'nei Israel, Veshamru et Shabbat. Lazot et Shabbat, Lazot et Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, לעשות את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לעשות את השבת לעולם. מששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי, וביום השביעי, שבת ויהי נפש.
Standing before you, God of all that is, we remember that before you created the heavens and the earth, you were one and all was one. Before you separated light from dark, making day and night, you were one and time was one. Before you divided the waters above from the waters beneath, you were one and space was one. And we remember that before you created us in your image, you were one and we were one. God of oneness, infinite, eternal. How queer of you to have created anything at all. God of queerness, in whom are united all separations. We stand before you now, queer ourselves, made of heaven and earth, day and night, all people together, all of us within your awesome holy oneness.
And so we rise on page 164 for the Amidah, or the Tefillah, the standing prayer, the core of our service. Our tradition is to chant the first three benedictions as a community, and then to continue in silence, whether using the words of your hearts or the words of the prayer book, page 164.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, עליון, גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם וישחק שרה,
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזיח השמש ומוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומידון מלך, מלך במיתוך חיה ומשמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני לחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך הקדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
יהיו לרצון נמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי וגואלי, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer.
For our country. Let us bless our country of Australia and all its people. Let us have dreams in this historic land of dreamers. Let the hot winds from the desert fire our imagination. Let the red soil of the plains keep us rooted to the things that matter. Let the waters of our rivers, lakes and oceans flow into our hearts, giving us depth and understanding. Help us remember those who have lived in this land before us and those who have made it their home in more recent times. Keep our eyes open to the beauty of this land. May we strive to keep its beauty present and strong. May we never be lazy in the work for peace. May we honour those who have died in defence of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they lead with justice and compassion. Let our compassion be like the encompassing coastlines of our continent. May acceptance, kindness and peace live steadily within this ancient and enduring land. Amen.
Amen.
For our community. Our people came out of Egypt a mixed multitude, the spray of dividing waters sparkling diamonds all around them. We stood together at Sinai, all of us, future, present, past, amid the rumble of thunder and the crack of bright lightning, to enter into covenant with the one who loves us, in whose shining image we are all created over and over again. We have wandered bleak landscapes, built flimsy tents of skin and then houses of stone. We have planted orchards and vineyards, seen 2 temples rise and then go down in the surging flames, forcing us into exile. We have loved and lost, grieved and danced, transgressed and celebrated, hidden, suffered, thrived. And we gather here this day in the community of our people, a mixed multitude, and we sing out, "Hear, O Israel, we stand together, all of us, descendants of the single first human created on the 6th day, and of our myriad parents down through the generations, too numerous to name. We stand together, link arms, and pray. Blessed are you, God of the universe, who sanctifies us with the commandment to love ourselves and one another in all our varied ways, and blesses us with a diamond-bright radiance that still ripples out from your first spoken words of creation."
Oh, say shalom bimroma. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimroma hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru
That prayer, for those of you that don't understand Hebrew or aren't familiar with this, is a prayer asking God to bring us peace. Peace in the world, peace between people, and also peace within ourselves. And one of the ways to do that is to be able to recognize that sometimes peace happens not by accepting everything and understanding and agreeing with everything, but accepting that there are differences, and that's okay. And that creates a sense of peace.
And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce Roz Bellamy to... Roz is a first-generation Jewish Australian who identifies as non-binary. Shortlisted for the 2024 Young Jewish Writers Award and longlisted for the 2020 Kill Your Darlings Unpublished Manuscript Award. Their book, Mood, explores the intersection between mental illness, Jewish and queer identity, and intergenerational trauma. Roz's writing has appeared in The Big Issue, The Conversation, The Guardian, Huffington Post, Island Magazine, The Jewish Independent, The Jewish Telegraphic Agency, Kill Your Darlings, Meanjin's SBS, The Sydney Morning Herald, and other publications which I can't finish in one breath. And in the anthologies Growing Up Queer in Australia, Black Ink, and Living and Loving in Diversity, Wakefield Press, Roz completed a PhD at the Australian Research Centre in Sex, Health and Society at La Trobe University in 2023, researching the impacts of engaging in life, writing on young LGBTIQ+ people's mental health and well-being. I will say no more, because otherwise I will have replaced your drush. Roz, if you'll join us.
Thank you so much. It's a long bio, but now I mostly am mama, which you might hear shrieks of very shortly. Apologies. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's such an honour to be here. My name is Roz Bellamy. I'm a writer, and I'm going to mention my book a little bit later. The book is called, it's Mood, a memoir of love, identity and mental health. So I'll come back to that. It's an honour to be giving this drush tonight for the Pride service. I actually came here years ago when I'd first moved to Melbourne and came for Kabbalat Shabbat. I came alone, I enjoyed the service, I nibbled on some challah afterwards, and then left without really speaking to anyone. It wasn't for anyone's lack of being inclusive, but more that I'm an expert as an introvert on making a quick escape. But speaking to so many of you tonight is quite the opposite experience. I was a teen in the late 90s and early noughties, which was a tough time to realise that you're queer and come out. The existence of queer Jews was erased at my modern Orthodox school, and I didn't feel comfortable being out even in progressive Jewish circles, including Emmanuel Synagogue in Sydney and my Jewish youth movement, Netzer. Hi, Netzer. I'm an oldie Netzer person. Things have changed for the better, thankfully, but we still need events like Pride Shabbat that make it clear that we're welcome and celebrated. When my lovely wife and I got married in 2013, before it was legal in Australia, we chose to have a civil ceremony with Jewish elements to it. We didn't really feel comfortable approaching a shul. If we were getting married now, I know that that would be different for us. And, you know, we're here tonight with our son, who no one can have missed his presence. So it's so wonderful to recognise that difference and really feel it and how times have changed. I'm really grateful to TBI and other progressive shuls and organisations for being inclusive and welcoming. I'm really thrilled to see LGBTQ individuals and couples and families included in so many meaningful ways in the services, festivals and events. I wanted my talk tonight to bring in some aspect of this Shabbat's parasha, which is bo. I love that both meanings of the Hebrew word, come and go, are words that my toddler knows and says commandingly to us all the time. The Parsha is from Exodus and recounts the last 3 plagues that God inflicted on the Egyptians. Those of us who've celebrated a Seder before know this story. But there's a particular part of the Parsha that I wanted to draw on tonight. Rereading Bo many years after my Jewish schooling, I was struck less by the plagues and more by Pharaoh and God's interactions. So the first 5 times that Moshe asked Pharaoh to let my people go, the Torah says that Pharaoh's heart remained hardened, that he hardened his heart, or that his heart was hardened. Sorry, I'm a grammar nerd, so it's quite interesting to me. From the 6th plague on, God hardens Pharaoh's heart. There are many interpretations of why this is. Was it a punishment because Pharaoh only gave in and let our people go to stop the plagues? Does it mean that there's no such thing as free will because God could determine the outcome all along for Pharaoh and Moshe? Or was it to restore free will, as other commentators suggest, as Pharaoh was under such pressure to give in after the plagues that he would have just been giving in to an act of God rather than his own will? This interpretation sees it as God strengthening Pharaoh's heart to be able to say yes or no. I'm not going to go into the implications here about God. I'll leave that for the rabbi, if she'd like to. But there's a lot to think about here in relation to humanity, especially at this time. We follow the international news of politicians and billionaires whose hardening hearts, whether it's their own doing or God's, I'll leave that up to you, and those hardening hearts leave many innocent people suffering. In response, many people in the communities have hardened their political views, shifting further to the left or right. In the progressive Jewish community, many of us have been struggling since October 7th. We've lost friends and colleagues, we've had assumptions made about our beliefs, we've felt the need to defend, protect, speak out against, stand up. I won't speak for all LGBTQ+ Jews, but I personally have felt very isolated over the past 15 months. I went from not feeling comfortable in Jewish spaces decades ago to feeling uncomfortable in queer spaces now, which is a new feeling and not one that I like. I'm back to feeling comfortable in Jewish spaces, which is nice. I don't know of that many queer Jewish spaces, but we need them. We need each other. It will take some time to rebuild our sense of community and safety, especially outside of our community. In my memoir, I write about the messages that I took from my Jewish education. I wrote, the world outside our community was depicted as untrustworthy and threatening. My family's stories and my teachers' messages about anti-Semitism indicated I was only safe in the Jewish community. But after I came out, I didn't feel safe there either. And then I write, as a teacher experiencing anti-Semitism in the classroom. After the incidents at school, I realise I haven't really belonged to a community in years. I've assimilated into mainstream Australian culture, keeping my distance from both Jewish and queer communities, as though being out there on my own will keep me safe. But now I keep hearing the students' words in the classroom and seeing the swastika on the desk, and it dawns on me that I'm afraid. My book came out the week of October 7th, 2023. It's a book about doing a lot of work to overcome fear, intergenerational fear and anxiety that stems from trauma. Now I feel like I need to write another book because so much has happened since. The fear no longer feels historical, as many of us know. My impulse is to keep my distance from others for safety, which is something I'd worked so hard to overcome. I want to have faith again in one of my core values, in finding commonality and understanding with others. I lost faith in that over the last year, but I've been working to regain hope and trust. Many of you here in the audience have been part of that journey. Thank you. Returning to Parsha Bo, we have free will, even if our actions are constrained by external forces, power structures, traditions, and entrenched beliefs. We can be inclusive, like tonight's Pride service, and push back at traditions that exclude. We can support and protect our communities, but also think for ourselves and refuse to follow groupthink. We can continue to follow our personal values and our Jewish values and seek to nourish our loved ones and heal and repair fractured relationships, or some of the fractured relationships. There are some that are done. We can strengthen our hearts, but we can also soften them with chesed, loving kindness, compassion, and care. And I wish for all of us that we continue to do so, no matter how much our own hearts hurt. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Roz. And as we come to our concluding prayers, I would like to hasten to add that anytime you want to get married, we would be delighted to officiate. It is not too late to get married. And that is true for anyone within the community. Our doors are open, it is legal, and we are delighted to facilitate. So if you would like to, come and see us. We come to our concluding prayers with the Aleinu. We're going to be on page 586, but Jonathan, if you would share this reading for us before we do so. Please rise.
Let us praise the ruler of the universe and adore the creator of the world, who did not make us like other nations, who created us different from other people and set us on a separate path toward a special destiny. Sometimes we may feel excluded because we are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, diverse, intersex, queer identified, Jewish or non-Jewish, female or male, older, young, or disabled. We conceal the unique attributes with which we are created in God's image. May God strengthen our inner resolve to honor and fulfill our unique purpose, to live out God's wonderful and unknowable design in which each one of us is a vital participant. Therefore, we bow in reverence before the Supreme Ruler, the Holy One who is to be blessed.
Ke
remain standing for a few more moments.
A prayer of remembrance. O God, remember today our LGBTQ siblings who were martyred in years past. Those murdered by fanatics in the Middle Ages. Those who perished in the Holocaust. And those struck down in our own cities in our own time. Remember also those who took their own lives, driven by despair, by a world that hated them just because of their love or gender. And in mercy, remember those who lived lives of loneliness, repressing their true natures and refraining from sharing their love with one another. O God, remember the sacrifice of these martyrs and help us bring an end to hate and oppression of every kind.
Amen. Thank you. At this time in the service, we remember those who have died during this past week in Shiva. We remember Robert Allen Sachs, Eva Markov, and Charles Tepperman. We also remember the 67 passengers who were killed above Washington, D.C. in a terrible, terrible accident. In Shloshim, we remember Joseph Spring, Joel Nathan, Rabbi Michael V. Fox, Jack Seton, Nili Palti, Hannah Hellman, and Emily Josephs. The yardsites of those in our community, we remember Valerie Abrahamson, Betty Rothstadt, Harold Basser, Rose Benjamin, Eric Davis, Rona Drobis, Rosa Eichner, Joseph Emmanuel, Christine Garteman-Brom, David Greenberg, Rochelle Himes, Naftali Malinek, Ken Marquis, Rachel Martin, Mark Brady, Elijah Moshinsky, Fela Rosenblum, Stanley Ross, Ilse Salinger, Isaac Schweitzer, Raymond Shama, Maurice Sloman, Keta Regina Weisselberg, Dora Whitner, and David Whitner. If there is anyone in mourning or observing yardsites, if you would like to say their name out loud or in your heart, we'd invite you to do so right now. Ruth Moses. Thank you. We'd also like to remember all of those who have lost their life in Israel, in the Middle East, and throughout the world, in those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them. We say Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. On page 598, the Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divrach kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabba mivorach le'olam olmei almaya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. May the source of peace send peace to those who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. Please be seated.
And so today...
So Right before we do the Kaddish, we do the Aleinu prayer. The Aleinu prayer talks about L'tzaken olam b'malchut Shaddai, that we repair the world for the sake of God. And when we talk about repairing the world, our Jewish tradition focuses on Gan Eden, talks about the beginning of creation, which we acknowledge on Shabbat, when there was one person, one. It wasn't male or female, it was one person. And when we were all coming together as one. So in our community, with our values, we like to remember all people and acknowledge both the good and the bad. This week, we were delighted to welcome and see and witness the return of the Israeli hostages Agam Berger, 20-year-old soldier living in Kibbutz Nir Oz, Arbel Yehud, 29, and Gadi Moses, 80, who was the oldest of the hostages. We also remember the 5 Thai nationals who were released with the Israelis: Pongsak Thena, Thathien Soanakam, Wacharara Surion, Banawat Seatho, Surasak Lamunau. They were working in the Israelis' communities near the border when Hamas attacked. We acknowledge the life of all innocent life on all sides that have suffered because of baseless hatred in the world. Something we can all identify with here today. I want to say this is my first Pride Shabbat here with TBI, and it was really...
Come again.
Yeah, thanks, will do. Thanks, Cantor, for and the team that's helped to coordinate and organize it. Thank you to the choir and all of the speakers. Thank you to Netzer for being here. Thank you to Jeff and to Mark from the King David School in Ilan, wherever you were. To all of the politicians across the political spectrum, because again, we're one. Right? Regardless of our political beliefs, our gender, our sexuality, our religion, our color, we are one. And the more we can create peace, it's about recognizing that peace transcends differences. We have them, okay, fine, go for it. But we can have compassion for all people, even if we disagree. So, that being said, really, really important. I mentioned to some of the politicians earlier that I was so happy that they're here, because it's really nice to be able to share our values as a progressive movement in Judaism with Australian society. To not have this us and them, right? Those of you that are here, that are in the queer community, you get what that feels like, right? But it's not about us and them, it's about us. Right? It's about us. We are all one. And so I want to blow up binaries, right? I'm gonna advocate for non-binary existence in general for everyone. And, and to be able to show ourselves, to be able to appreciate our separateness, our distinctness, and still acknowledge our commonalities. So it pleases me so much that we can be here together tonight. And I want to invite everyone, and my tuchis is on the line here, because I made a call, I'm new to this congregation, as you know, to say that TBI is a very large community. And the amount of people that show up for the Midsummer March, like it's great you're all here, but the amount of people that show up in the Midsummer March for the Jewish community shrinks. Now, many of us have felt alienated. Those of us on the left, those of us on the right have felt alienated as... Where are you, Roz? As you were saying over there, it's alienated from that community. But we need to stand together to remind ourselves where we unite in Australian values, which is about acknowledging the dignity of all human beings. So I really encourage everyone, Jewish, non-Jewish, queer, not queer, doesn't matter, come, show your pride, unite on the values that we hold and cherish. I will, however, make a quick announcement that the time has changed because Midsummer Pride March has pulled back the time because of weather constrictions. So we are going to be meeting at 10:30 at, it doesn't say on my sheet. Check feel free to, we're going to be meeting at, do we know where we're meeting? The corner of something. It's on the last page. All right, that you printed out for me to remember to say all these things? That's great. Okay, whoops, my bad. Okay, so we're going to be meeting at the Ian Johnson Oval. Look for the Jews of Pride and the pink TBI Pride shirts, which are for sale as long as Shabbat's not in yet, and you can get in there. But come, doesn't matter. Wear bright colors, wear whatever you want, but come and join us. We'll join the larger Jewish community there, which is great. We've got a bar mitzvah tomorrow morning, which is going to be fantastic, and tomorrow afternoon. We have next week Kabbalat Shabbat. Also, amazing guest speakers that are going to come. Cambodian Rural Students Trust are going to be introducing themselves and looking about an educational program and some incredible work that some of our members are doing in Cambodia. Again, we are living by our actions. So we want to be able to do that. Introduction to Judaism and the B'nai Mitzvah program starts Tuesday. And the Tu B'Shvat Mystical Seder, a potluck dinner led by Cantor Lalum. So special Haggadah, if you've never been to a Tu B'Shvat Seder, it's beautiful.
Guaranteed to levitate.
Oh,
it is your turn, so we're delighted.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I can.
Family Shabbat, come next week, first, second week of Friday. Come on. You've already interrupted me.
We are delighted to have one of our founding members of TBI to say a few words. Ray Rose, OAM, headed the Volunteers Committee in Shepparton back in the 1940s. You really look well preserved, considering. Ms. Rose is an active member of the Hebrew Women's Guild and continues to win the Hebrew Women's Cooking Prize for her Passover sponge fingers and Anzac biscuits. How that works on Pesach, I don't know. When she's not volunteering, she plays lawn bowls with her husband, Cyril. Please welcome Ray Rose.
I'm sorry about that. You were taking a very long time.
I own that.
Yes, hello everyone. Well, Shabbat Shalom to all of you. And I am one of the founding members of Temple Beth, and I'm really delighted to be able to say a few words on this occasion. Please just allow me to introduce myself a little bit more, because my name is Ray Rose, not Rosenberg or Rosenbaum, Rosenkrantz or Rosenschwanz, just Rose. Now, I'm 50th generation Australian. I'm proud to be an Aussie, and I'm proud to be a Hebrew Kanana Korah. Now, my mishpacha dates back to the First Fleet. Sir John Monash was a great uncle of mine, as was Sir Zalman Cohen, and my late grandfather, Aleb Shalom, was the first Jewish minister of the RSL Hebrew congregation. I've seen it all. I was there when Rabbi Levi was ordained. I was there when Isidore Magid invented twisties. As you can hear, I've schlepped a lot of knackers in my life. But in my time, things were a bit different, a bit far less continental, if I might say. We didn't have all the baba ganache, the tahini and the Hamas and whatnot. But since the migrants have come, and Carlisle Street has practically turned into Beersheba, hasn't it? He knows what I mean. I can see him nodding along. The Hebrew community today, we're so united, we even have our own ambulance service. What's it called? Hezbollah or something or other. Now, I'm proud as punch of our rainbow community. TBI is as inclusive as ever. It's a real magnet for chat GLBT plus people. And I couldn't be happier. Whether you're queer, trans, straight, or even vegan, you know who you are. You're all welcome. Now look, my own granddaughter said to me, she said, "Nana, I'm an out and proud Lebanese woman." I wasn't surprised. We knew for some time that she was what you call bar now, gay later. Now, her special friend Lulu is also delightful. She's a little on the political spectrum. She describes herself as a non-binational, which I think is very sensible, because I also no longer believe in the two-state solution. But this Pride event, it's so important. It can be so confusing today for the young ones. For many years as a lass, I also didn't know whether I was Arthur or Martha. It wasn't until I spent time in Palestine with a young serviceman called Slow-Mo that I worked it out. It took Slow-Mo a little time to warm up, it did, but once he got going, he was like a blue heeler in a sheepyard. So welcome to TBR. We do like to speak Jewish here and read from the Old Testament and play from the organ. It's simply marvellous to celebrate Hebrew culture with you all, to eat challah at the Kiddush, to sing Jerusalem Shel Zahab. And I look forward to seeing you all next week and tomorrow at the march. Mazel tov to all of you. Thank you so much.
And
You
so
think
I'm
you're
going to
speaking a bit too long.
I'm going to invite everyone to rise as we conclude with Kiddush and Motzi. You will find that the Kiddush at the back, the white is grape juice, the red is wine. If you'll join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafel Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu Shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon ninchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher ליציאת מצרים, כי באנו בחרת, אותנו קידשת מכל העמים. בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. לחיים.
Can I get all the kids up here right now? Kids, come here. All the kids. Anyone who's feeling kid-like?
Anyone who is young or young at heart will
Come
take
on,
it
come
as
on
we
down.
say.
Yes, amazing. Come here, come here, come here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Amen. Shabbat shalom and welcome.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. One quick announcement. Somebody just told me that we're supposed to meet at 9:30 because the march is starting at 10:30. Why do they do that to us? I don't know. Shabbat shalom.